Hey, I'm Andy, and welcome to Rock, Roll, and Red Plaid. Okay, here we are back at it again on the Rock, Roll, and Red Plaid podcast. I've lost count of episodes at this point, but it's okay because Matt Wilson's here. Matt, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Andre?
Good, good, good. Oh my goodness. I was looking for my Thin Lizzy t-shirt, and I guess I must have misplaced it, but in some way, shape, or form, I felt I owed it to give it a chance anyhow, because I will say straight off the bat, I owe you an apology, and I will tell you why. I'm not usually one for not tribute, but like certain levels of uh, me- uh, I don't know what to call it, but I went and listened to about 2 weeks ago a recording of Alive and Dangerous, you guys and Brian Downey and company doing a set, and afterwards I was thoroughly convinced. And you guys
What
did an amazing job at what you did, and I really loved it.
what gig was it? Was it the Rock Hard in Germany,
hmm
the
hmm
televised one? Yeah,
Yep,
it's a
yep,
good
yep.
gig. It's a
Oh
good
my goodness,
performance.
you guys did absolutely fantastic, and I scrolled through some of the comments, and everybody was not a bad thing to be said. You were a lot of good things about you, especially saying that you were one of them I loved hearing is that you channeled Phil without trying to mimic him, and I think that was really the key there. And I think that was just I'm sprawling now at this point, but just really wanted to if you were here, I'd shake your hand. So yeah, there you go. But I guess my first reel going into that is how'd you get connected with Brian? Was this my first big question? Um,
Well, I s would you like a short answer or a long answer?
whatever you prefer. I mean, we're in it for the long haul here. So
Okay. Well, Thin Lizzy were my kind of first musical love, and the first band that I got into in a big way. Like there was a couple of bands before that I was into, but like obsessed would probably be the correct word. And then I learned how to sing and I learned how to play bass, and as a result of that, and I would have fooled around with friends in bands playing Thin Lizzy covers, or doing original music that was highly kind of indebted to Thin Lizzy, very Thin Lizzy esque. And at some point, this is when I was a kid, like about 17 or 18, someone suggested that, you know, would you not just form a tribute band and do that? And so we did. And every 4th of January in Dublin, which is the anniversary of Phil's death,
yep.
there was it doesn't really happen anymore, but there was a concert that happened every year on the 4th of January called the Vibe, which celebrated Phil's music and Thin Lizzy's music.
Mm.
And me and the tribute band kind of faded away, but me and my friends would have got together every January the 4th to play at that, to play rare B-sides and choice cuts and stuff Thin Lizzy never played.
Yeah.
And at some stage in the game, Brian had gigged with the Reform Thin Lizzy in 2012, and then he hadn't
hmm
gigged for maybe 4 or 5 years.
hmm
And then the idea was floated that he wanted to form a band, and with one of the guys that I played with at this Vibe concert was a guy called Brian Grace, very good guitar player.
Okay.
He and Brian was jamming, and Brian was like, "Would you know any singers or bass players?" And Brian Grace, well, there's this guy called Matt, and then there's another guitar player called Phil Edgar, and another very good musician, good guitar player, great
Yeah.
harmony singer.
Mhm.
Um, and that was the first incarnation of Brian Downey's Live and Dangerous, and that's how we got together. We met up and rehearsed for about 6 months, and then we went out on the road. Long story short,
That must have been such like a head trip for you. It seems like Brian Downey seems to be such what's the word? Reachable kind of person. Like he doesn't seem like he's standoffish. He seems like a really, good person to
uh,
engage with, you know. Um,
well, prior to that point, you know, I I played as a session musician in other people's records and did a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
okay.
But that was the most high profile thing I had done to date.
Sure.
And the nature of it being that, this was one of my childhood heroes, I found it incredibly intimidating.
I can
Incredibly intimidating.
imagine. Yeah. Yeah.
But after a while, maybe say like a year, that kind of wore off, and but yeah, no, he's a cool guy and still a very 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 good drummer.
Oh
You
my
know,
goodness. The swing and the pocket is just unbelievable with him. He is just so there. You are not going to get lost with Brian. Like he's there, you know?
I
Yeah.
I, I think as like Thin Lizzy descended into madness, like Gary Moore left in 1979,
Hmm.
and he made the comment that you know the party after the gig was becoming more important than the gig itself. And I wasn't there, so I can't comment on that. But I do know that Brian Downey was the guy that held it all together musically. You know
Oh,
what I mean? He
wow.
held it all together musically.
Wow. Yeah, I guess this is, this is all good. I love it. One of my I wanted to do a Thin Lizzy cover tribute thing
Hmm.
at one point, and it didn't take off. Being in the U.S., being in the Boston area, not just Boston, but it's like I couldn't find people who were all in on that. I felt like I was, and it was very frustrating. I remember one of my friends, even though he was joking, made a comment, and I kind of lurched forward, and someone was like, "Easy, Andrew." So I almost took it personally that it's like, maybe speak to that in the sense of like it seems like there's a level of not just with Lizzie, but other bands between Europe and America and that kind of they'll be in a higher status level in different areas of the world, whereas in other places of the world they're not as appreciated as they probably I think they should be.
I think Thin Lizzy are probably through a series of bad luck and misfortune, and that they never really broke America.
Mm,
This, if it wasn't for bad luck, they wouldn't have luck at all. It would be the statement about Thin
mm,
Lizzy in America. And
yeah.
yeah, I think Thin Lizzy were massive in the UK and Ireland and
Hmm.
Europe and Scandinavia, in
Yeah.
particular places like Japan,
Yeah.
but they never really seemed to break out of a certain level and become stratospheric. They seem to be like a musician's band. Lots of people in famous
Mm.
bands will name check them, and you know.
Yeah, I think Axl Rose has mentioned he's a huge Lizzie fan. I think he's got the Black Rose tattoo, I think on his arm or something like that. But
Hmm.
which of course was also my favorite of those albums. I mean,
That's a great album. Yeah.
oh my goodness, can't say anything bad about that. That whole thing front to back is just perfect. Um, what was your first recollection? You said growing up, Thin Lizzy was a huge for you. What do you remember the first time hearing them?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, very much so. Um, do you remember the? What age are you, Andre?
I'm 30.
Okay, so you're a similar vintage to me. So, can you? I was a small child whenever Toy Story came out,
Okay, fair enough. Yep.
and part of the ad campaign for the Toy Story movies was "The boys are back in town."
Really?
The toys are back in town. I think was a tagline, and I
Huh.
was very yeah,
That must have been
uh,
like a UK Ireland. I don't know. I don't remember
quite possibly.
that.
The toys are back in town, and my so I was like a small kid, maybe like 3 or 4, and my
Yeah.
cousin Sarah, God rest her, took
Hmm.
me and my cousin Peter to the cinema to see Toy Story, and that was
Hmm.
my first kind of introduction to Thin Lizzy.
Wow. Wow. Oh my goodness. That is fantastic. Similar in vein to me, there was a Super Bowl commercial with the most horrendous, crazy, fanatic American football fans running in like this to the tune of The Boys Are Back in Town. I think it was Minnesota Vikings or something like I because I remember the color scheme. But anyhow, I remember diving in much more when I was in high school because there was I forget what music TV station, but they were playing a bunch of I don't know if it was Download or one of the festival highlights, and I was waiting to see Slash and the Conspirators with Miles Kennedy and company,
Mm-hmm.
and ahead of them at least on the video program was Thin Liz or what was Thin Lizzy in that year, 2011 or 12. So this is Ricky Warwick and Scott Gorham and Brian and whoever else was with them. And I could kind of tell, but tended by like who had what color hair, so to speak, who had gray hair, who had whatever hair. I'm like, okay, these are kind of a hodgepodge of people here. So immediately, I didn't even wind up seeing Slash. I went back onto my laptop and searched the crap out of Thin Lizzy, and all the first thing I hear is Bad Reputation. I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just showed up, and for the next couple of years, it was all Lizzie for me. So, um, oh my goodness. Outside of what you do with Brian and Alive and Dangerous, what is your musical landscape look like outside of that, or does that keep you pretty much busy at this point?
Um, no. I'm a I make the entirety of my living through playing music,
Love it.
and someone in another industry would probably call it a portfolio career, with a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little
And
bit of that, and that makes an income.
mm-hmm.
So I teach singing.
Oh yeah, okay.
I I play in a corporate band, playing covers,
Yep.
playing bass.
Yep.
I I used to do a lot more of it, but I would have played things like weddings and holy communions and bar mitzvahs and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I do session singing. So
Love
the
it.
the main broadcaster here in I'm in the north of Ireland, so the
Mm-hmm.
the main broadcaster here is called BBC.
Yep.
I just did a ghost vocal for an actor that couldn't sing in a kids' TV program.
I love stuff like that.
So yeah, so they needed someone who could sing quite low, and
Ah.
I ghosted all the parts, but he'll be on
Mm.
camera, but it'll be my voice. So I do a load of different things, and I in the past year I've just started releasing original music for the first time in a long time.
Very nice. I love that.
Mm. Under the moniker of Noble Johnson.
I will. Where can people find that for a little plug there if they want to look it up?
Well, if you want to listen to it, it's on Spotify and Tidal and Amazon Music and YouTube Music
Hmm.
and then I've got the social media pages like Facebook, Instagram,
Hmm.
TikTok. I know TikTok's about to be banned in the
Oh,
States.
yeah, I don't use it anyway, but I just don't I never understood it to begin with. We're kind of in the what is the phrase you use? Kind of the similar vintage. Is that what you said?
Yes,
I love that.
yes,
I'm gonna
yeah,
use that. Can I use that?
yeah. Of course, of course.
Oh my gosh. I think you and I maybe we're just away from that enough, like just in a generational gap where that wasn't part of our upcoming and upbringing, where like that was just like on we're like the tail end of it was the beginning of intense social media stuff, especially for music, and the tail end of like what could have been like posters or like the trading mixed not mixtapes, but that was a little even whatever little stuff like that. It was like that was going away, and another thing was coming in as we were coming up.
I think we're of the generation that has a foot in both camps. We're probably the last generation to have what would you call it, like an analog childhood where you're
Yeah,
the
yeah,
entirety of your childhood wasn't dictated by staring into a screen. You know, at some point you would have played outside or
yep,
played with action figures or
oh
what
yeah,
have you. Um,
yeah.
but you know, and probably in our formative years, like early teens,
Mhm.
the rise of sort of social media culture.
Mhm.
Um, so we can remember what it's like, but also what it is now. You know.
Yeah. I mean, the phone I use is
You
pretty straightforward. I don't need any like I do my own stuff on my laptop if I need to do it, you know. And I remember a friend of mine who's probably give or take 10 years younger than me, and she just kind of looks at me in horror and it's like she's like, "How do you?" I'm like, "You're gonna you," and part of me is just gonna want to be like, "You're gonna want to learn this. When it all goes down, you're gonna want to learn." I'm not saying there's
yeah,
gonna be, I'm not manifesting a tech apocalypse or anything, but if it
it could
happens,
happen. It could definitely happen. It could definitely happen.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah,
but it's very invasive. Where you've got this little black box in your hand that you've all the information in the world, every bad thing happening on the news on a
yeah,
24/7 feed, and I think
yeah,
as time sort of steps forward, I think some people will maybe make the decision not to not to
yeah,
use it, or even their children won't be allowed. Like people of our generation, when they have children, they'll maybe not allow their children, you know, total
yeah.
access to the internet. You know what I mean?
Or at least,
But
when you're such an age, we'll see how this goes. That's kind
yeah,
of what happened with me. That was like this. Even in the what we do now in our music, it feels like it is so driven by, as is everything, by social media. It's like if you're not on this account or that account or this platform showing your music, it might as well not exist. Unfortunately, it's
I think that musicians have been forced to become social media influencers and comedians, and the music is a couple of pegs down the totem pole, and it's nowadays, not that I'm like the arbiter of good taste or whatever, but it's it's the person who's really good at social media becomes the next star, regardless of the quality of their music. You could have
yeah,
an individual or a band who are brilliant, brilliant singers, brilliant songs, brilliant instrumentalists, but if they don't have that, um, you know, fluency with social media and the internet,
yeah.
it's like, if a tree falls down in the middle of the woods and there's no one there to hear it, does it really make a sound? And I'm
Mm.
learning this, I'm forcing myself to become a social media influencer.
Yeah. Whether we kind of want to. First, it was bad luck with Thin Lizzy, and now it's social media. Is
Yeah.
it not the same thing, kind of? It's all promotional or whatever else, or oh my goodness. Um, Apart from the Mighty Lizzy, what are some other bands that have tickled your ear over the years, so to speak, that have made you go, yes?
Well, Thin Lizzy introduced, there's a very soulful side of Thin Lizzy. There's a funky
Mm,
side of Thin Lizzy. There's a pop side of Thin Lizzy. There's a very hard and heavy side of Thin Lizzy, and
mm,
it was a good entry into those all those different genres of music.
absolutely.
I primarily I like old soul music's probably my favorite type of music.
Oh, okay.
People like Marvin Gaye and Sam Cooke and Bobby Womack,
Mm.
um, The Temptations, Otis Redding, Teddy Pendergrass, all that kind of stuff.
Oh.
Prince, I'm a big Prince fan. I'm a big Bob Marley fan.
Mm,
I love reggae. I love funk.
mm,
Um, and like, I like. There's a threshold for me where like I think it's to do with recording techniques or something where after a certain year in the 80s, I'm kind of turned off hard rock music.
mm.
I love like the rock music from the 70s and like early 80s. There's loads of different influences and it usually
Mm.
there's usually a swing to it. And after about 1985, I'm not really that interested in rock music, but don't be wrong. There's exceptions to that, but
Sure.
um, I like any type of music that has a groove to it, and it doesn't have to be soul music. But if it's soulful in its delivery, I'm into
Yeah.
that. You
Love
know,
it. There's nothing better than seeing someone play or sing and knowing that it's not just coming from here, it's coming from here. Like
yeah.
completely. They're selling it. And not that they're trying to convince you of something. They're just it's there, They're really going for broke there, so to speak.
It's in every fiber of their being.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
I was I always thought that way of definitely of like you said mentioned Prince. The best thing about Prince is I love this. His band, every member of his band would say, "Oh, his drummer would say, oh, he's a better drummer than me."
Mhm.
His bass player, he's a better bass player than me. Keith, every single thing. It was unbelievable how much he could just condense into knowing everything head to foot. I think Steve Vai once said that about another guitar player. He says, "Oh, he's musical from head to foot." That guy is completely.
Just understood music totally. Just got it. But I saw Prince.
Oh,
Just to reiterate what you said, I saw Prince in 2012,
okay.
2012, and it literally changed my life. It changed my life. Just the same thing as what you said. Like Prince would he would take the trombone off the trombonist, and he would play something on the trombone, and he would be better than the trombonist. And that trombonist was elite level trombone. He would
High
have a
ca
go on the going ahead.
I was just saying high caliber. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have a go on the drums. He'd be just as good as the elite level drummer, bass, yada yada yada, keys, yada yada yada. And then Prince would maybe go off and do a costume change, and the piano player who's singing isn't their main gig would be a phenomenal singer. And it made me go, that's the standard of his band. You think you're hot, Matt, and you're not. You're really not. You really need to practice. You really need to dig in here and practice. And that started a routine in me back then where I would just practice for hours and hours a day. So
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Similar to when I went to see, and I'm a huge fan of Joe Satriani, the guitar
mhm.
player. Oh my goodness. Um, I got the last time I saw him in Boston, the usher in the place got us into basically the second row. Right, I'm like sitting at his feet basically. I'm watching this guy like a hawk. He's got these big wraparound sunglasses on, as he always does, because he says the lights bother him or blah blah blah, whatever. I was able to tell that because of the lights were so bright you could see through his glasses. He is playing this beautiful, amazing technical stuff, and his eyes are closed. You think you're hot stuff, Andrew? Case and literal point, Matt. I tell you what, I agree.
I'm assuming you're a guitar player.
I am. Yeah, I
Yeah.
am.
What kind of guitar have you got?
Uh, Brand wise and stuff.
Yeah. Or
That's
what do you prefer? What?
it came straight from the school of Satriani. I'm an Ibanez guy.
Okay.
Um, I into minimal pedals and into just a Marshall, and that is my it's compact, practical, short, sweet, and to the point.
Yes.
I don't do much to it. I just you can do more with this than stepping on pedals and stuff. And before.
I think you're right, and I think if your sound relies heavily on pedals, if if a pedal decides to britches in the middle of a performance, and your whole sound just kind of disappears. So I think the guys in the '70s and stuff did it with minimal pedals. It was all kind of in their fingers.
Yeah, yeah. The only wacky thing I really have is a talk box, and that comes
They're
from.
cool, aren't they?
Oh, I love them.
Yeah.
I've lost molars in that thing. That thing is loud. That thing will rip your head.
What brand talk box? I have a Dan Electro talk box, and it does the
Yeah,
job, but it's not
yeah.
it's not great.
Mine's the MXR one. It's like a bright silver gray color, and it's a big bulky pedal. It takes
Yeah.
up half the board. But yeah, that's it. And just then, if I'm not, well, I the talk box, wah pedal, phaser, and that's it.
I love a phaser.
And
I
that's
love a
really,
phaser.
yeah, it is. And it's just the EVH one, or the orange MXR one. And it's for when I go off on all the crazy picking stuff. It's just to give it a little more color.
Cool.
And that's it.
I, you know what I'm enjoying? I'm not really a guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
I can play guitar, but I wouldn't really count
Mm-hmm.
myself as a guitar player. Um, I got a Leslie rotating speaker,
Oh, wow.
and you buy this thing. It's an American company or an American guy that makes them, and it's
Mm-hmm.
called Doctor Fish Sticks. Be very careful to say that there, Doctor Fish Sticks, and you get like a tube preamp. You get this Doctor Fish Sticks thing. The Leslie speaker requires this weird kind of like 9-pin cable. So you run the cable from the back of the Leslie into the fish sticks. Then you put a jack from the fish sticks into a tube preamp, and then from the output of the tube preamp, it goes into your guitar, and then you've got a wee button that controls a wee foot pedal that controls the speed at which the rotating speaker goes. I love it. I think it sounds great.
The way you just described it, somewhere the Edge from U2 has just had an aneurysm because even that would confuse him. I feel like, speak of pedals. Ugh.
Well, do you know that like he has a person
Oh yeah, there's a
doing the
team.
pedals for him? He doesn't have to worry about hitting the pedal. It's just he goes on. We're in song number 13, 1 minute and 30 seconds in. The delay with the envelope filter comes on, and then someone underneath the stage hits it for him.
I don't know how I feel about that. I love what he does. The textures and the sounds that come out are so intricate and stuff. But how do you do it live? That's the question. I guess that's how you do it live.
I think a band can become so big that it's almost like a corporation. And I think you two are probably at that stage.
Yeah. I did love the Rattle and Hum film and live album with that from 87, 88 on the Joshua Tree tour because I don't know if you know this when he when the four of them came to the music producer apparently so they say they took into the studio when they started mixing, they threw a copy of Live and Dangerous down on the table and said, "Make it sound like that."
Yeah,
Allegedly.
I've
So
heard
far
that
as
story. Yeah.
okay, yeah, so
Well,
far as I know.
it is kind of a blueprint
Mm,
how to do a rock like how to do a rock show. You know, like you build it up, then you break it down a bit, and then you build it even higher, and then you break it down, and you build it even higher, and then you keep it at a level, and you go out in style. You know,
yeah, yeah.
it is for any young band. Um, I would suggest listening to it. Like it is it's probably the greatest live album of all time. You know.
Yeah, I have it somewhere. I have it in multiple forms. Live and Dangerous, the CD, the double album. I took the what do you call them? The sleeves that hold the actual vinyl discs because they all had pictures of the band members on it, and they were posters on my kind of quasi fake posters. I took just nails. I didn't even or tacks or something, like whatever the heck. And I'm like, that was it. That was on my that was spinning on my turntable for months, years on end. I'm surprised those discs aren't warped at this point.
It hap-
Perfect.
it it happens. There's a later album called Live
I have
Life.
I have that one
Yeah,
too.
and I did something similar where, do you know, like a ring binder, like a ring binder folder? I think I might actually have
Oh,
one here.
you're right. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
I'm doing my taxes at the moment, and
Oh yeah.
you can't really see the chaos. If I panned the camera down, you'd see the chaos. But so of ring binders aplenty, but I did that. I got two copies of that, and it's the same sort of deal as Live and Dangerous, where it's just photos and photos of the band. And I just got
Uh-huh.
like a scalpel, and then covered my high school ring binder in it. You know,
Yes.
mm.
I love it. I
That's something, you know, people don't do that anymore. You know, kids use iPads in schools now. You know.
I don't mean to make us sound like a bunch of geezers, but there is a kind of a loss. Even me and my dad were talking about like we didn't even realize there was a mailbox at the end of our street. You
Yeah.
know, I didn't even realize that. It's like this is a lost art in mailing a letter. It's like it gets to a point where it's like, my goodness, you gotta, well, everything in balance, obviously, but it seems like it's got to be some of it's out
Well,
of whack, you know?
I think we rush forward in the name of progress, and technology or like cultural institutions and things that are seen as old fashioned get left behind, and then we get we get down the road somewhat, and then we realize that, well, hang on a minute, the way we used to do things was actually the most efficient way to do it, or the most eco-friendly, or whatever, and things almost get like reinvented. Like apparently kids are going mental for, you know, like VHS tapes, and like audio cassette tapes have come back. Like I'm
They
gonna be
have, yeah.
I'm gonna be pressing my record, the Noble Johnson record, and there's the option to do 25 to 50 tapes, but it could be a waste of money, you know.
It's a gamble. It's a
It's a
gamble.
gamble.
It is a gamble, you know. Wait, I'm trying to remember. Oh, um, Cold Sweat. I put my
Yeah,
money in a suitcase.
yeah.
I knew there was one in there somewhere. Oh man. Oh my gosh. Um,
Like, you know, nowadays it would be I put my cryptocurrency in the suitcase.
oh no, don't say it. Oh,
uh, I put my Bitcoin in the suitcase and headed for the big race. You
I
know.
put it in the PayPal or whatever the heck, you know.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
it.
On the other side of it's not even other side because it's just the whole encompassing spectrum there. When Lizzie kind of shifted over to Black Star Riders with Ricky fronting the band there, that's kind of when the height of my infatuation with like the first initial wave of all that stuff because when that came in, it was just another level for me. It was like the next chapter. What did you
Hmm.
think of all that stuff?
It's not music that I'm overly familiar with.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not music that I'd be overly familiar with.
Okay.
So I couldn't really pass comment, but I do know that all the musicians involved are good musicians, and I don't know Ricky, but he's from the same county as me. So you know the way you're in Massachusetts.
Hmm.
We're both from a place called County Down in Ireland. He's from the north of the county, and I'm from the south.
There it
And I
is.
know that he's a tremendously hard working guy. His work ethic
Yeah,
is
I've heard that
unbelievable.
too.
And
Like, yeah.
but for the music, I've never really sat down and listened to it. At that point, I was fully in my soul, funk, reggae
Sure,
kind
sure.
of stage.
Just a different avenue, that's all.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, we played a lot of that. Well, my old band used to do Boys Are Back in Town, but also when I would do my solo bit in the middle of the show, I'd bust out just me and an acoustic guitar, and I'd do a couple Black Star Riders songs, which would just be everybody thought it was my songs. Like, man, that was amazing what you wrote. I didn't write that. Don't even think about that. No, no, that wasn't me. No, but um, there's one of them in particular that holds a big spot for me because it was a song that got me through the loss of a dear friend of mine, and I've been trying to get Ricky on the show at some point too, just to tell him that because he's the one who wrote it. I just wanted to tell him like, dude, that got me through a lot, and I'm sure a lot of songs do for all of us, you know.
But sometimes music can put into words things that we can't say ourselves, you know. But yeah, have you reached out to him?
I have, yeah. It's just he's got a new album coming out, and I'm sure he's
Yeah,
doing ping pong, like you said. He's all over the place all the time, just doing so much.
hard working guy, very hard working guy.
Like unbelievable. Between him and Henry Rollins, I don't think I've ever met any harder working people in the entertainment business. But my goodness. What is the it's hard to say rest of the year, but the upcoming for you in your music, what does that look like for you?
Well, I've got a single coming out on Monday.
Aha, okay.
Hmm. Um, I've got a single coming out on Monday. It's a number called "My Life Is Like a Song," and it's like a pop reggae kind of tune. And
Yeah.
I've literally finished shooting the music video there on Monday night. There's another thing, we're showing our old fogey status, but the music video has seemed to have died, and it had so much cultural resonance for me growing up. Like I can remember where I was when I saw certain music videos, and
Yeah.
that's another thing. It'll come back in fashion at some point. People, the whole social media thing. People are into like short form content. Why would you watch a music video that's 4 minutes long when you can just watch a clip of it that's 30 seconds long? But I think it will make a comeback.
I think it will
But
too.
so I've got that out on Monday, and then 6 weeks from then, I have another single coming out called "Angry All the Time," um, about my relationship with my dad, and then a week or two after that, I've got an EP coming. My first EP as Noble Johnson comes out. So
Alrighty.
whether or not I'll do tape, I'm definitely going to do a vinyl,
All
some
right.
CDs,
All right.
maybe a couple of tapes, and that is called "A Modern Man." Noble Johnson, a modern man in search of his soul. And then I have recorded and just finished recording another EP. I have to go back for another day or two in the studio to finalize the vocals. And then once that first EP is out, the whole process starts over again. I release another single and another single and another single, and I'm learning how to do it in this day and age. What works and what doesn't, and it's definitely a learning curve.
Yeah.
And the rest of the year is writing what would be my debut album, uh, and hopefully I can do it. I can do good quality and quickly and efficiently.
That's my phrase
Also,
too.
like that, those first two EPs took me like 2 years to write, but you can sometimes you can be too precious about things, and it stops you from getting your ass in gear.
Mm.
And then I'm doing a collaboration with the two guitar players out of Alive and Dangerous.
Okay.
A fantastic guitar player called Michael Kulbaka,
Okay.
and another fantastic guitar player called Joe Merriman. And not only are they great musicians, they're great people. And I think we're going to take a stab at writing some tunes as a kind of groovy rock band. So
All
like
right.
rock music, but like with melody and soul and groove kind of thing.
I
Um,
absolutely love it.
so we had a rehearsal there on Sunday night, just spitballing ideas, and it felt good. Yeah, it felt good. But I'm painfully aware that all this is a tremendous amount of hard work, and um, like the thing about Prince, we talked about Prince earlier. Prince, not only was he insanely talented, he was a very, very hard worker.
Yeah.
And if I want to commit to all this stuff and get it done, I'm just going to have to work all the hours God sends. I'm also learning how to box. I go to the gym a lot, and I'm trying to eat right, and
It
just
helps.
getting. I'm getting older, and I'm starting to like if you want to continue performing and especially singing at a high standard, you can't really you can't really mess about with your health, and because you know there's 20-year-olds coming up behind me that can drink all night, get up the next go have 2 hours sleep, get up and record great vocals, where I'm slowly edging out of that, and I need to take care of myself if I want to continue
Yeah.
doing it at a high standard, you know.
It's
And then
about
hopefully have time for a personal life and that with all that work.
it's about deciding whether you and not want to do it or not and do it at a high standard, you know. And
Yeah.
that's right. Matt, I think this is a great way to end. Thank you so much, and best of luck with the upcoming endeavors, my friend.
Andrew, thank you very much for your time and for the titillating conversation.
Absolutely, my friend.
And hopefully it's a big goal of mine to play in America. That's the dream for like European musicians. If
Hmm.
you've played in America, you've made it, and I think it's probably vice versa. An American musician plays in Europe, they feel
Yeah,
like they've made it. So hopefully one day I'll be in Boston and our paths will cross.
and we will, and I will
I,
do what I can.
I appreciate that. I
Alrighty,
appreciate that.
I'm gonna stop the tape here. Tape! Oh my gosh, again! For more of my original content, visit my website, www.andyconley.com.